Okay, so have you ever felt like, you've got this hidden potential just like
Yeah.
waiting to be unlocked? Like there's like a whole other level of success you could hit if you could just, I don't know, flip the right switch in your brain.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty common desire wanting to kind of tap into those like hidden reserves.
For sure. Well, and that's kind of what we're diving into today
Uh-huh.
with this book by John Assaraf. It's called Unlock the Hidden Power Within You.
Hmm.
And he's got this whole system basically for like reprogramming your subconscious mind for success.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I'm like intrigued, but also a little skeptical.
Right.
So let's see what he's got.
Yeah, I mean, a healthy dose of skepticism is always good. But I mean, the idea of like the subconscious mind influencing our actions, it's not exactly new.
Yeah.
It's the foundation for like tons of self-help books. Even some like therapeutic approaches kind of stem from that.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
But Assaraf's claiming to have like cracked the code
Hmm.
with these like specific techniques. And it all starts, he says, with understanding the difference between your conscious and subconscious minds.
Okay.
And he uses this analogy of a ship. So your conscious mind is like the captain,
Yep.
making the decisions, right?
Right.
But then your subconscious, that's like the engine room down below.
Yeah.
And that's determining how much power you've really got.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really vivid image. And it highlights something really important, you know?
Okay.
A lot of times we can like set our sights on these goals, we make plans,
Right.
but we don't always realize that our subconscious beliefs might actually be working against us.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like sabotaging our best efforts.
And that makes me think about like all those times I've totally self-sabotaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be so close to achieving something and then suddenly I'm like doing everything I can to mess it up.
Yeah.
Is that my subconscious engine room going haywire?
It's definitely a possibility, right? Because our subconscious minds, they're shaped by our past experiences, you know?
Okay.
Our beliefs about ourselves and the world. And those beliefs, even the ones that we're not consciously aware of,
Right.
they can really drive our behaviors in powerful ways.
So how do we get down into that engine room
Yeah.
and rewire things?
Right.
Like, is that even possible?
Yeah.
And that's where Assaraf introduces this concept of innercising.
Okay.
So it's basically like exercising your brain for success, just like you would hit the gym to build, physical strength.
Right. And he actually lays out like 7 key techniques to do just that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One that he really emphasizes, and for good reason, is visualization.
Okay, yeah. Visualization. This
Yeah.
is all about like creating those vivid mental pictures of yourself, like actually achieving your goals.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's more than just like daydreaming. When we visualize, our brains actually activate some of the same neural pathways as if we were actually performing the action.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
So like just by thinking it,
Yeah.
we're kind of like tricking our brains into like experiencing success before it happens.
Yeah, in a way, yes. It's like giving your brain like a practice run.
Huh.
And this is actually where mirror neurons come in.
Oh,
Have you heard of those?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, they're really fascinating.
All right.
There are these cells in our brain that fire both when we perform an action and also when we observe someone else doing that same action.
Interesting.
So when we like vividly visualize ourselves succeeding,
Right.
our brain, it kind of interprets that as a real memory,
Wow.
and it strengthens those pathways for real life action.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, practice makes perfect, but in this case, it's like visualization makes perfect.
Exactly. And the more we do it, the more confident and motivated we become,
Hmm.
which in turn actually fuels our actions in the real world.
It's like a feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've got visualization down.
Mhm.
But Assaraf also talks about this other technique called reframing.
Okay.
And it's basically like you're taking a negative thought and you're giving it like a makeover.
Absolutely. And our brains are naturally wired to kind of focus on like potential threats and negativity. It's a
Right.
survival mechanism, right?
Right.
But in our modern world, it can lead to like a lot of unnecessary stress, a lot of self-sabotage.
For sure.
So reframing helps us consciously challenge those negative thought patterns and actually look for a more empowering perspective.
Okay, so for example, instead of thinking I'm going to totally mess up this presentation,
Right.
I could try reframing it as this is my chance to share my knowledge and connect with the audience.
Exactly. Same situation, but like a completely different mindset.
Right.
And that shift in perspective can make a world of difference in our performance, in our well-being, everything.
It's like choosing to focus on the opportunity instead of like getting stuck on the obstacle.
Yeah, and the more we practice it too, you know, the better we get at catching those negative thoughts before they like spiral out of control.
Right.
It's like we're training our brain to see challenges as like opportunities for growth.
Yeah, it's almost like we're building like mental resilience or something.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Right. So we can bounce back from those setbacks even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, this idea of resilience kind of ties directly into another one of Assaraf's key techniques.
Okay.
He calls this one mental contrasting.
Mental contrasting. So we're not just like visualizing the success here, right?
Right.
There's more to it.
Yeah, mental contrasting is about acknowledging the obstacles that might get in the way of our goals,
Okay.
not just focusing on that positive outcome.
Okay.
It's about combining those like rosy visualizations with a dose of realism.
So it's not about being negative, it's just about being like realistic and prepared.
So,
Does Assaraf give any examples of how this works?
yeah, he does. So imagine like you're aiming for a promotion at work, right?
Okay.
So with visualization, you'd picture yourself like excelling in your role, getting praise from your boss, celebrating your achievement.
Okay.
But with mental contrasting, you would also consider the challenges you might face along the way.
Okay.
So, you know, increased workload, office politics,
Right.
maybe even like self-doubt creeping in.
Right. So it's like planning for the bumps in the road
Exactly.
instead of just like pretending that they don't exist.
Exactly. And by anticipating those obstacles, we actually engage the parts of our brain that are responsible for problem solving, for self-control.
Oh, interesting.
So we're essentially giving our brains like a heads up.
Okay.
So we're better equipped to handle those challenges when they inevitably come up.
So it's like you have a plan B in place before you even need it.
Exactly. And that sense of preparedness, it can significantly reduce stress.
Right.
And increase our chances of success.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so far we've got visualization, reframing, mental contrasting. These all sound like incredibly powerful techniques.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, like, is there anything that ties all of this together? Like, is there like a master key
Yeah.
that unlocks the full potential of all these different techniques?
That's a fantastic question. And you're right to look for that like connecting thread, you know, that kind of brings it all together.
Yeah.
So Assaraf argues that even if we like master all of these inner-sizing techniques,
Yeah.
their effectiveness, it really hinges on one crucial factor,
Okay.
our mindset.
Okay, mindset.
Yeah.
That's the word like we hear a lot these days.
We do.
But what does he actually mean by that?
So he's really drawing on the work of Carol Dweck.
Okay.
She's a like renowned psychologist who studied mindsets for decades.
Okay.
And, you know, she found that people tend to approach challenges and setbacks with one of two mindsets, a fixed mindset or a growth mindset.
Okay, so fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Exactly.
Remind us, like, what's the difference again?
Okay, so with a fixed mindset, you believe that your intelligence, your talents, your abilities, all of it, it's like predetermined,
Okay.
unchangeable. Like you're either born with it or you're not.
Got it.
And this can lead to a real fear of failure, right?
Right.
Because setbacks, they feel like a reflection of your inherent worth.
Right. Makes sense.
A growth mindset, on the other hand, that sees those same abilities as muscles that can be developed
Okay.
through effort, through learning, through perseverance.
So with a growth mindset, challenges aren't seen as threats. They're seen as, like, opportunities to learn and grow.
Precisely. And setbacks, they're just temporary detours on the road to success, not dead ends.
I like that. And
Yeah.
so Assaraf is saying that like this mindset shift
Yeah.
is essential for all of those other techniques to actually like really work.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like the foundation upon which we build everything else. Think about it. If you like fundamentally believe that you can't change or improve,
Right.
then no amount of like positive self-talk or visualization is going to have a lasting impact. It's
Yeah.
like trying to build a house on a foundation of sand.
Right. Yeah.
You need that solid ground
Yeah.
of a growth mindset to support everything else.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Mhm.
So it's about believing in your own capacity for growth.
Yes,
And then using these techniques to kind of support that belief.
exactly. And to help us cultivate that like empowering mindset.
Yeah.
Assaraf actually leaves us with 3 powerful questions
Okay.
for like self-reflection.
Oh, I love a good thought-provoking question.
Me too.
Okay, so what's the first one?
All right, so the first question is deceptively simple, but it cuts to the core of like our aspirations. What do I truly want?
It does seem simple on the surface,
Mm.
but I can see how, like, taking the time to, like, really define what matters most to us
Yeah.
is, like, pretty crucial.
Absolutely. It's about getting clear on our values, our aspirations, our definition of success. And when I say define, I mean like really getting specific,
Okay.
writing it down, connecting with the emotions behind those desires.
So it's not enough to just say, like, I want to be happy.
Mm.
I need to define, like, what does happiness actually look like
Exactly.
and feel like for me?
Precisely, because our brains, they work best with specifics.
Right.
So instead of like, I want to be successful,
Right.
I want to start my own design business by next year.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
I want to write a novel that becomes a bestseller.
The more specific, the more vivid, the better.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've defined what we want.
Okay.
What's the next question?
Okay, so the second question delves into the why behind our desires.
Okay.
Why do I want it?
So this is where we, like, connect with the, like, deeper meaning, the motivation behind our goals.
Exactly. It's about understanding the values, the beliefs, the aspirations that like fuel our actions. Why is achieving this goal important to you?
Yep.
What impact will it have on your life or even the lives of others?
Yeah, it's about tapping into that, like, intrinsic motivation, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're only driven by, like, external rewards or pressure
Right.
from others,
Right.
it's so easy to, like, lose steam when things get tough.
Exactly. Think about it. Why do you want to achieve those goals you just defined?
Right.
Is it to like create a better life for yourself, for your family,
Right.
to make a difference in the world,
Yeah.
to express your creativity?
Yeah.
Understanding those like deeper motivations
Right.
is key to staying committed and staying passionate about your journey.
Yeah, it's like finding your purpose, that, like,
Yeah.
driving force
Mm,
that keeps you going even when things get tough.
precisely. And that brings us to Assaraf's third and maybe like most crucial question, Rand.
Okay.
Am I willing to do what it takes?
Okay, so this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
It's not enough to just dream it.
Right.
You actually have to be willing to put in the work.
Exactly.
Right.
Achieving our goals, especially the like big audacious goals, the ones
Mhm.
that really light us up, those require effort, commitment,
Yeah.
and a willingness to step outside our comfort zones. It's about aligning our actions with our aspirations.
So it's about getting real with ourselves.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, am I all talk
Yeah,
or am I actually ready to, like, put in the work?
exactly. It's
Mm.
it's about making that conscious choice, right? Engaging that prefrontal cortex and saying yes to the opportunity, even when it feels challenging, even when it feels
I
uncomfortable.
like that quote, dreams don't work unless you do.
Exactly.
Right.
But here's, I think, the good news. So, by understanding the power of our subconscious mind
Yeah.
and using these techniques like visualization, reframing, mental contrasting, we can actually make that work feel more aligned,
Okay.
more purposeful, maybe even enjoyable.
Right. We're essentially, like, rewiring our brains for success from the inside out.
Precisely. And when we combine those techniques with a growth mindset,
Right.
right, that belief in our own capacity for growth, that's when we create like a really powerful foundation for achieving our goals.
It sounds like it. This has been such an insightful deep dive.
Yeah.
So much to, like, think about.
Lots to unpack.
I know, right?
Yeah.
For our listeners who are, maybe feeling fired up and they're ready to start their own, like, inner-sizing journey, what's, like, one key takeaway
Okay.
that they could start applying today?
If I had to pick just one, I would say start paying attention to your self-talk.
Okay.
Become aware of those negative thought patterns, those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
You mean, like, those thoughts like, I'm not good enough or I'll never be able to do that?
Exactly. And those thoughts, they have power, but we can choose to challenge them.
Okay.
Ask yourself, is this thought really true?
Right.
Is it serving me?
Right.
What's a more empowering way to look at this situation?
Okay. So it's about, like, catching those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And then consciously choosing to reframe them
Yeah.
into something more, like, positive and productive.
Precisely. And remember, this takes practice.
For sure.
Right. Be kind to yourself, be patient with the process,
Yeah.
and celebrate that progress along the way.
Yeah. Because every step we take towards a growth mindset,
Yeah.
every time we choose an empowering thought, it's like we're rewiring our brain for success.
Exactly. And that's a really powerful realization, I think.
Yeah.
We have so much more control over our thoughts, over our feelings, ultimately over our destinies than we realize.
Yeah, for sure. And this whole deep dive has been about, like, unlocking that hidden potential.
Mm.
And it sounds like the key is already within us.
It is. And as Assaraf reminds us, right, like this
Yeah.
journey of self-discovery and growth, it's ongoing.
Right.
There's always more to learn. There's always more to explore, more of our potential to unlock.
I love that. So on that note, I guess we'll leave you with this final thought. So if our subconscious minds are constantly like shaping our reality, what are we kind of unintentionally programming them with? What thoughts, what beliefs, what images are we kind of feeding them day after day?
To think, right?
It really does. Think about it. And until next time, happy inner-sizing, everyone.